Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm very happy to be here at this hour and having a full room still, so that's really cool. So thanks for staying and tuning into the QUICKTAKE session. So my name is Andre Kudra. I'm the guy who's supposed to know what the hell distributed identity is, so to use Harry Baran's words. Actually, I'm wearing a little bit of two hats today because I'm the CIO of Untitled, so I'm a board member and one of the owners of the company, and I'm also a technical governance board member of the Sovereign Foundation. And this relates quite well because my company Untitled is also a sovereign steward, and you will learn a little bit more about distributed and decentralized identity in the next 5 to 6 minutes. And we are in very good company of being a sovereign steward because some of the major players here at the event today are also sovereign stewards, Riddle and Code being among them, IBM being among them. So this is a very cool thing to do and to be. And yeah, I'm outlining a little bit more what it means, which business we are. So we are in the space of digital identity, which is the problem we are addressing is that we are compensating for the missing identity layer in the internet. So you all probably know the picture, and this is something that is still valid today because in the internet you can pretend you're a dog and nobody will know. So we are trying to solve this, and what we are solving along is the problem of that you are actually an applicant to all the identity providers in the world. So if you have a Google or Facebook or whatever account, they are serving as your identity provider and you are not in control. So you're just a client that is using an identity that is lent to you. So you're not really in control and you're not an owner of the identity. So what's the business we are in? We are trying to get rid of all this. So we are replacing credentials that you all carry around in your wallet with a digital representation of such a credential. This works well in the world today as we know it. So if you have the card or an ID card with you, you can show it to someone else and he will be convinced that this is the issuing authority who gave it to you and this is in fact you who is carrying it. So this is quite nice, but we are lacking completely this in the distributed identity space. So we are compensating that with what we call self-sovereign identity, and credentials are a key part in the self-sovereign identity ecosystem. So this is always boiling down to this triangle that you're seeing there. There's an issuer issuing a claim about you who are holding it in your personal wallet, and then you go to someone else who wants to verify that this is in fact true. And then the beauty of things is that the verifier doesn't have to go back to the issuer to confirm it. It's completely controlled via the ledger, and the proof is given via the ledger transaction without having a direct connection between the two parties, issuer and verifier. So this is very beautiful, brilliant piece of applied distributed ledger technology that is in the identity space very dominant in the world. So why is this something for the Mobile Congress or Mobility and Blockchain Congress? So actually this translates quite well to the space we are working in, the identity and access space. So also in the physical world we have the need to control access to certain objects or certain data items. So what we are doing is integrate the existing world of identity and access management with the self-sovereign identity world. And this is not just an idea, it's reality today. We are using it today within our own company. So we are translating with which we call still self. We are translating between the self-sovereign identity world and the existing authentication and authorization worlds that are out there. So any application or system that can use AD, LDAP, SAML, OAuth2, OpenID Connect or whatever, we can translate between self-sovereign identity credentials and this existing classic identity systems. So this is what we actually do, and this can be very well transported to the physical world. So if you want to control the access to a car, we can make it happen with self-sovereign identity technology. And where we are leading is obviously the lower right part of the image. We want to enable SSI native applications, so we don't want to have the legacy pieces in the middle. I'm already done. So actually what was our roadmap? We will build own local use cases first. This is obviously something that's happening now. We are part of different initiatives, including also digitalization initiatives. For example, we have been a part of the LISI project of Mine Incubator, which is the digital hub of Commerzbank. So we are working on local use cases. And we strive to reach a critical mass with these local use cases within the organizations and overarching organizations working together. And then hopefully we, at some point in time, will have global use cases based on self-sovereign identity. And this is what we are working for. And yeah, looking forward to elaborate on this further in the evening or at the evening event. And thank you for your attention.
Perfect. Thank you, Andre. With the QUICKTAKES, we won't do the Q&A, but Andre and all the speakers are very happy to answer your questions outside or later tonight. Our next guest, we've seen her already in LA. She's here again. Anne Smith, Head of Mobility and Automotive from IOTA, to talk about connected infrastructure. Welcome.
Hi everyone, and thank you to Moby for inviting me here, and I'd also like to thank all of you for being here as well. So again, we've only got about 5 minutes for these quick takes, and I will go through connected infrastructure. So this is what we've been talking about all day, is what if everything is connected to everything else? All of the traffic lights, parking spots, all this infrastructure can pay and communicate with each other nearly instantaneously. I think that's one of the key components, is this communication and transactions must happen in real time. If automated vehicles are actually going to be safe, they're going to have to communicate with each other, with the traffic lights, with the pedestrian who's looking down on their phone and not paying attention, in real time. It's not something where we can wait, 10 minutes for a transaction to process, or, something dreadful could happen. So these changes we're talking about really are going to change mobility in the world for the better. And our experiences in cities, in urban environments, really will be drastically improved. So what do we mean by this? What is connected infrastructure? Well, it's this big alphabet soup here. We've got vehicle-to-vehicle communication. We have vehicle-to-infrastructure. A lot of people think about vehicle-to-infrastructure being things like traffic lights or parking or things like that. But this is also can be thought of as vehicles communicating with smart charging stations and things like that. So it's a very broad picture. Vehicles communicate to pedestrians, the network, whether you're talking the cellular network or any other type of communication network. Vehicle to grid, this is another really hot topic in this industry, and so vehicles are going to be used as ways of sharing energy back from the battery in the electric car to the grid to help balance the grids. This is another area that opens up just massive new opportunities. So connected infrastructure really is vehicle to everything, but also everything to the vehicle itself. So there's a lot of data happening here, a lot of information being shared, a lot of monetary transactions being done as well. So why would we do this? This sounds like a lot of work. We've already heard a little earlier today about all the benefits, but I found this graph and I thought it was just amazingly gorgeous exponential graph of the benefits of connected infrastructure and connected cars. And you can see along the bottom the benefits that come with 10%, 33%, 80% of vehicles being connected. And it's not just financial, you also have societal benefits as well in terms of fewer accidents and things like that. And maybe we think, well, we've got some time. I don't know that we do have time, because in 2019, 71% of new vehicles registered in the UK were connected. And it's estimated by 2026, 100% of new vehicles registered in the UK will be connected. So this is something that is happening now, and we can start taking advantage of this now. So, what do we need to do this? We've been talking about this all day, so I'll just go through it really quickly. We know this already. Data, payments, and trust. Basically, distributed ledgers is what's needed to make this connected infrastructure be beneficial. What else do we need? Well, it's why we're here. Collaboration between everyone in the ecosystem, technology providers, governments, academia. Really, it's what we've been talking about all day. So yeah, let's get together and work together on this. Another thing that we need to do this is customer acceptance and consent to share data. I think this is also extremely important, maybe not an area that we're focusing on enough. So customers are willing to do this, willing to share their data as long as they are offered something in return. So I think I've run out of time. I have a short video, but little cut off.
We'll find it somewhere, right?
Yeah, so what I wanted to show really briefly, you can find it online, is what would this look like? We have a partner, Jaguar Land Rover, who have created a car wallet. It's in the software of their vehicle, and it does this. Exactly, you have the car going down the road, being paid for data that it shares, and paying for transactions.
Right, so if you want to find it, it looks something like that, so you will find it. All right. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
All right, so now we've heard about connected infrastructure and identities. We know it's important, but there's something that makes us work, not only in one ecosystem, but across ecosystems, and that's why we have MoCo Baricevic here. He is working in Tendermint Labs, and he will talk with us about interoperability. Happy you made it last minute, as Saki couldn't come. Excited about hearing what you guys do.
Perfect. I actually just sent the slides, so I'm not sure if they're going to show up. But in short, yeah, so I work at Tendermint. I'm developer relations and product owner of the Tendermint core protocol. So interoperability has been at the cornerstone of everything we've worked on from the beginning in 2016 with Tendermint, and then now with the Cosmos SDK and with the Cosmos Hub. So in the past couple months, we've been working on a protocol called IBC, Inter-Blockchain Communication.
Just a clicker. Just go ahead.
No. Worth a try. IBC, which is a generalized packet messaging protocol. And so in this generalized packet messaging protocol, the goal was to not only make it for blockchain, because as we've heard from today, it's IoT and blockchain. And the communication between both these machines is kind of like the big question mark everyone has right now. Because yes, blockchain can communicate with an IoT device, but then it's focused to those two devices. With IBC, since it's a generalized packet messaging protocol, it's meant that two machines don't have to have knowledge of each other before they start communicating. So in this term, IoT devices can communicate with themselves with a random packet, and then all of a sudden send it directly to the blockchain without having to adjust this data. And so this has been the main focus of our work, and actually this week we're finalizing the implementation within the Cosmos SDK. And that means if you're using the Cosmos SDK, you get IBC out of the box, and then soon after that, we begin testing with IoT devices to be able to communicate with blockchains seamlessly. So that's roughly what I had. Are there any questions about?
So that was a real pitch. Yeah, we still have some time. You get the questions. Do you have some questions?
I didn't want to go too low level, but...
What's the relation with Cosmos?
So we are the main developers behind Cosmos and the Cosmos SDK. And so basically everything we do trickles down into the Cosmos SDK. But in terms of IBC, it's entirely separate from Cosmos. So there are other protocols already looking at implementing it, Solana, Near, Ethereum. And right off the bat, once IBC is launched in at the end of mid Q2, then Binance and all these other chains communicating with EOS, Tron, Ethereum will be able to seamlessly communicate with any application-specific chain.
IBC only open source. You must take care of it.
IBC?
Yeah.
So IBC is just a specification, and then it's up to the implementers, the protocol implementers, to actually implement it within the protocol. And so we did it with the Cosmos SDK. We're also exploring on doing other protocols, but as of right now, the Cosmos SDK and I believe Substrate is looking at it as well. And so these two chains are like the first two chains that will be able to seamlessly communicate without having pre-existing knowledge of themselves.
Perfect, Marco, thank you. Yeah, and I think Marco is around here, so if you're already there, where you have more chains and need somebody to help you explain interoperability, he's the guy. So just find him here, and I think he is the right guy to help you with. All right, then once interoperability is solved, we go to the data marketplaces, and we have Trent, founder of Ocean Protocol, here today with us to share with you how Ocean Protocol helps you with data marketplaces.
Thank you very much for the intro, and thanks for having myself and Ocean here at Mobi. So I'll start. 148 million. That's the number of people who had their credit cards compromised in 2017 Equifax data breach. They're not the only ones. LinkedIn, Yahoo, Facebook, India with Aadhaar and so on, we've had hundreds of millions, billions of people have their data breached. It's become the norm. This points to a flaw in data management. And it's at the heart, basically, there's an M&M security model. You have the yummy chocolate on the inside, the hard shell on the outside. If you manage to breach anywhere in that hard chocolate shell, then the hard shell, you get to go in and eat all the yummy chocolate. But if you think about the way that blockchains work, it's the opposite. It has a rock-hard nugget in the very center, which is basically the list of transactions. And this gets replicated many, many times, even thousands of times through public blockchains, right? So what if we can take the ideas of the security model of blockchain and use that for data management, for access control? This is really what Ocean is about. It's taking the access control keys, basically who has the permission to see what data, to write what data, and having that within a blockchain system. And so the vision with Ocean and what we've been building is then a public network that has an access control layer on top of the existing layers of the internet. So there is basically TCP/IP, the lower levels, and then HTTP, and one level above that, there's a very thin layer, basically which blockchain addresses have which access to which other data sets. And what Ocean does is, it basically is recording that and giving SDKs to decide who can access what. Now, on top of that, there are Ocean-related dApps, if you will, right? There's the basic ones, data wallets, data management tools, that sort of thing. And actually what's cool is, basically traditional crypto wallets can now work as data wallets. Data commons, but most importantly, and the purpose here, is data marketplaces. And really, data marketplaces are really all about helping to transfer access control for a data set from one party to the other, right? And the benefits, though, of a decentralized data marketplace, above and beyond the security benefits I talked about before, are that they're really non-custodial. So just like we have non-custodial decentralized exchanges, they don't hold your tokens. It's the same thing for data marketplaces that are decentralized. So it's not a centralized marketplace. The other thing is, the way that Ocean works is, it resolves the issue. Everyone is scared to give up privacy and control of their data, but with Ocean, it resolves this by bringing compute to the data. So I guess I run out of time, but quickly, there's several use cases with logistics, with autonomous vehicles, with IP supply chains, and so on. It's all around data management for individuals, all the way up to the level of nations. And with data management, you get data marketplaces. Ocean is live. We've got SDKs. You can build with us now. And come talk to us if you would like to have your own out-of-the-box data marketplace, and we can help hold your hand to deploy that. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for that. What I've said about interoperability is the expert on data marketplaces. I think way more further down the track than we maybe talking about Daimler Mobility. All right, that's interesting. We have a real expert here from the Stuttgart Stock Exchange, who is now giving us a little bit more practical view and not only a theoretical view on asset tokenization. Alexander Hübner, I'm very happy you're here. Welcome you on stage and excited to hear more about how Stuttgart solves assets.
Thank you very much for being here. Having just 7 minutes, I'll speed my way a little bit up. So let's focus on 3 aspects. First aspect is asset tokenization. At this point in time, although we are talking about theory, a lot of token ideas can be issued already, even on the financial side. So you can even, under the current regime, issue security tokens, you can trade security tokens on a peer-to-peer basis, you can store them, you can create a wallet, you can have custody, well on an OTC basis, but at least you can do it. So from an asset tokenization basis, we are much more advanced than maybe everybody thinks. Now comes the second aspect, that we have to make up our mind on what we want to tokenize. Seems easy, it's not. When we announced that we go into that space, we got flooded with ideas. In the end, what we built is an education program, because out of these several hundred applications, 0 materialized, because garbage in, garbage out. If you don't make up your mind what you want to have tokenized in the first place, you can't imagine what is expected from you later on. Well, coming second point, everybody's talking about ecosystems. But what is an ecosystem? Ecosystem where we collaborate, where we put our products on it, when it's totally digital, where we put payment on it, when we have goods exchange in various places, globally and wherever, is a pretty good definition of a classical exchange. Now, if I don't make my mind rightfully in the first place, I may end up that regulation is not allowing to do with the token what I wanted to do in the first place. Why is regulation kicking in? Because regulation is regulating function and not technology. If I fulfill the function of a marketplace, I will have to abide to the rules. And if I don't make up my mind about the tokenization in the first place, and I want to have a trade later on, but I did it wrong, it might end up not being traded at all. And this is really something where we still struggle to understand, which is funny, because my car can go faster than 50. I know this. But in the city, I'm just allowed to go 50. Now, in the blockchain world, all of a sudden, everybody thinks everything is possible because technologically it's possible. It doesn't mean that I'm allowed to do it. Just making one example, somebody approached me from a big electricity company saying, hey, we connected 100 households and they're trading energy, which is super. And I said, congratulations, you just created a fungible energy market. So who's holding the energy trading license of the exchange? He looked at me, no answer. I said, no problem. Probably the houses are energy traders registered with the regulatory body in the EU. But, sorry, houses are not natural persons. Only natural persons can be traded. Wait, natural persons who are employed with a registered broker for e-products. And he said, nothing anymore. Not saying that you can do it, but I mean, these rules are open out there. You can just download them, make up your mind what you want to do in the first place, look at the regulation, and then all of a sudden you will realize a lot of this is possible right now already. We don't have to wait. Now comes the third thing, and this is, from our point of view, one of the most important ones. And I think the colleague from IBM is outside now having a coffee, but the point is the flow. Very good. How do you connect all these ideas? The big change that comes with the technology is the change of, so to say, the order flow, not in financial product terms, but where the customer is coming from. This customer right now comes from the start of the process, so to say. Now, with all the ideas floating around, with not having a unanimous format, but everything, here's something developing, here's something developing, here's something developing, here's something developing, the connecting piece is the wallet. The custody is the connecting piece. And it's power back to the people. I decide with my wallet to which marketplace I connect. And if that ecosystem marketplace is a mobility coin, then I go there. The starting point is not the market, the ecosystem. The starting point is the wallet. And we're losing the battle on the wallet. The question, in which startup you want to work? I'd like to work in a wallet and custody company. Who holds the custody in the wallet holds the client. And then comes something that we tapped a little bit into with the politicians. The big fight of the EU Commission trying to prevent that everything's got flooded by a top-down decision from China. The wallet comes with identity and KYC and AML, and this is on the wallet. So from our point of view, a lot is possible already. We can tokenize a lot. It comes back to the possibilities, decisions, big companies, difficult to take decisions, we know this. But as soon as you know, you pretty much can do a lot already, even on a European scale. But the really critical thing is, if you can't provide a wallet solution, I mean, what do you think how many people of the 99.9% out there want to run their own private blockchain at home and care for all this stuff? I doubt it. They want to lose their mobile, they don't want to care about public keys and all this stuff and hot and cold, and you know what? And as long as we don't have a solution for that, the rest in the beginning is all nice. I don't want to have 500 accounts. So, these would be my 3 takes from a really practical side. We are up and running for more than 1.5 years, so this is really coming from what we really see and do. And yeah, hopefully you can take something out of that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I mean, I'm close to you, Stuttgart-wise, but I've learned a little bit more about where you see the future, or where you would put yourself in a startup, or what you do. So yeah, custody wallets. I've heard this from other companies before. Interesting topic. But let's move on. And it's funny that it's a little bit connected, because I know this company also is doing custody wallets for banking. But today I want to welcome Tom, Fürstner, founder and CTO of Redline Code. Not to, I don't know whether you talk about custody wallets, but vehicle wallets and IoT. Your stage.
Thank you. Okay, so Tom Fürstner, one of the technical guys of Redline Code. Okay, so yes, what is a hardware wallet? So we're talking about hardware wallets. A wallet we built into a car wallet for Daimler, with Daimler. And it's not that easy, so I have to check. Yes, done. But a wallet is at its, let's say, basically it's a client to manage secrets and transactions. So to secure your transactions with virtual assets. And what we've built into the Daimler car is not just a wallet doing this, it's doing way more. So all the things you've heard before. So it's giving machine identities. It's enabling digital twins to operate on physical things like you operate on digital assets. Yes, it gives part of data provenance, so you know where the things are coming from. So are they legit? Can you work with it? Yes, did someone breach the supply chain? It's protocol hardening, so all the informations produced by a car, are they reliable? Are they coming from the right source? These are tricky problems, and the wallet solves this. It's also about data protection and data consistency. But this managing of DID SSIs, you've heard it. It's a universal signing gateway, you've heard it. So you can, with the Daimler car wallet, if you want, really manage thousands of digital currencies. Yes, I guess it's not their intention, but the capability is given. Yeah? At the same time, we are talking about hardware, and the hardware has to be compliant with regulatory requirements. This is something people very often ignore. So you cannot only use hardware. The hardware has to be compliant with not Creative Commons, with the Commons stack and with EAL. So these are banking standards, because if you have a settlement happening automatically on the car, it has to be legally compliant, and it's only when you have a compliant chipset. It's about KYC and AML. We've heard it today. AML and KYC for interacting machines. Yes, it's a gray area. There's no regulatory decisions, no law, nothing, but still we are already capable to do it, and we will see how it will work out. We have to do reconciliation. So who owns the amount of data? Who owns the amount of digital assets and value? You have to do account management and segregation, track and trace, real-time auditing, and even things like blockchain forensics. And there it gets complicated, because blockchain forensics is diametrical to GDPR. So either you are compliant with GDPR or you go for forensics. Yes, and if you try to do both, yes, it's a natural conflict. So, and our hardware wallet more or less establishes all these things. At the end of the day, it's not smart to ask what is a hardware wallet or what is a car wallet. What is more important is what is the context you are operating in. And this is a real shift which happened in the recent years. So whenever you enable a physical asset to have blockchain capabilities, so to connect it with a so-called crypto accelerator or blockchain capabilities, overall, you turn it into a reactive object. And you give it identity. The identity is described by an address which follows the scheme of blockchain. So you have a wallet, and if you have a wallet, you have settlement. So what you do is you take a physical object like a car and you turn it into a marketplace. Yes, so it's a market in everything, and everything becomes a market. So this is really changing the world as we know it today. Yes, and we cannot really foresee where this is going to take us. If you talk about this new, we call it digital dispositive, you have things like blockchain technology, deep addressing. So it's not only enough to have the vehicle identity number. Yes, you need every part number built into the car. You have to know about the owner, about the contract, about the insurance, about the charging station, about the tank and gas stations. So that's it. So things are getting more and more complicated. We have all this technology already in place. We can use it, we can harmonize the hardware and the protocols and the OSI layers, yes, but it will take a while. And it will take also a certain amount of trust and energy from especially the German car industry to exactly go into this direction. At the end of the day, it's unavoidable because we go into a new world which will function to completely new rules. And the new rules will be written by algorithms, protocols, computers, humans and institutions. Thank you.
Yes, thanks Tom. And if you trust Alexander Hübner, that Brilliant Code at least is a good bet. And we talked about now the automotives and go a little bit back to what we need from there. We have Christian Köbel from Honda R&D here. I don't know where he is. There he is. We met each other in LA already, so I saw this. Did I? Oh, did I skip?
Go ahead, Christian.
Yeah. Chris, we do you afterwards. Sorry. We go with Honda first. So I've seen this already. It will be about connected batteries and what Honda R&D is doing in the blockchain space and with cybersecurity when it comes to batteries. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Yeah, my name is Christian. I will not only speak today from Honda perspective, but also from within the EVGI working group within MoBi. So the EVGI working group is the second working group. You may know it. We got quite a diverse field of players there representing typical actors in the energy market. It's chaired by me and the GM, but that's not relevant right now. So I would say it's one of the core working groups for Honda. For us, it's quite an important working group ever since, because of course we're having a lot of electrified products. But also the energy ecosystem is kind of a very good fit for blockchain, because you have a lot of different business partners with mutual business interest, like the typical actors like the OEMs, the infrastructure providers, TSOs, DSOs, and so on. And but also unlike fuel, electrified energy or electric energy can be managed. So there's a potential to give a certain toolbox to our customers. And this is why we're that interested in that field. And you can see the mission here of EVGI. It's to create standards of interoperability that stakeholders of this mentioned EMAS ecosystem basically can take and implement, with a strong focus on data attributes to describe the different entities here. So this is the daily work we do, as I said, we specify these data attributes. This is by far not complete. This will be part of the standard. Right now, I would like to focus on batteries. So for each OEM, each OEM is always responsible to create a sustainable product, of course. With a battery inside a car, inside an electric vehicle or electric device, it becomes even more important because a battery, its production is subject to ethical questions. It's made of scarce resources, and at the very core, batteries can be reused, which means that with batteries in your vehicle, you get more opportunities and also duties for the manufacturer. And these are the aspects we try to reflect in the data attributes. So as an opportunity, I would just like to mention that can be, for example, to offer the customer an additional revenue stream by allowing the customer to use basically the battery capacity in the electric vehicle. But as a duty, of course, we have to keep in the design of a product the circular economy basically by design in mind. So circular economy, as you may know, treats topics like reusability and sustainability. And so basically in the discussions we had in EVGI, we tried to capture this. So not only what happens at the production of a battery, like creating a digital twin of a battery, but also what could happen to a battery during its life cycle. And this is very brief, and there's a lot behind all this, but I tried to summarize it and summarize these thoughts. As you know, so there's of course the first part of the life cycle is the production. This is about tracing raw materials in the supply chain and focus on ethical sourcing. There's a new MOE working group on this, covering probably also this, but there are also initiatives like the RSBN I'd like to mention. Now this is the phase the OEM is typically working in. Here we try to map things like, okay, how can you model a battery health? How can we model use cases like the temporary stationary storage? V1G, V2G are very popular energy services. And also, if you have the product, how to create a digital twin of, for example, a swappable battery and the different contextual usages it finds itself in. Then there's Second Life, and this is very important also in terms of circular economy. Once a battery doesn't match the requirements in an EV anymore, it can still be used for certain stationary storage services. It can serve as a reserve capacity for several use cases like illuminating streetlights or powering road infrastructure. And lastly, this is the circular economy. This is basically where the cycle is closed. And because then you have to keep this in mind from the product design, and that's all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, cool, Christian. Interesting to see that you go through more or less the whole economic circle here, and I think this can also be applied to other kind of the mechanism, to other kinds where raw materials are used, automotive production, and so on. Okay, after skipping you, Chris, the best in the end. For the QUICKTAKES, the founder of Mobi. I've heard you have some news about telematics and insurance, so go ahead.
I don't know about news, but insurance companies make money by underwriting risk, right? They make money by underwriting risk better than their competitors, except when they don't have better information than their competitors. Then they make money by having cuter animals in their commercials or something like that. Often in auto insurance, the companies don't have much information at all. In California, where I live, they basically underwrite insurance based on 5 factors. I won't be able to remember them all, but it's something like gender, your zip code where you live, how old you are, what vehicle you drive, and I can never remember the 5th one. But you can lie about 4 out of the 5 of the factors, and so it's not very good information for underwriting. So insurance companies are trying to do better. They're trying to get better information about how drivers actually drive, and you see it already in companies that are coming out with dongles and attempts at usage-based insurance. And so they're promising a driver a lower rate, a good driver a lower rate, put this dongle in your car, let me collect the data, and if I see that you're driving safely, usually defined as no hard and fast stops, hard starts, fast stops, sudden lane changes, these kinds of things, which actually predict accidents pretty well, then you can get a lower rate. Well, it turns out the work that we've done in Mobi to connect the vehicle identity, right, to the location in space and time, the stuff that you need to do vehicle to infrastructure, charging for roads, charging for congestion, is exactly the same information that insurance companies would love to have to underwrite insurance better. And so the dream of insurance companies is to get into the telematics and head unit of the car, get that stream of information, so they can have really, really good information for underwriting. And probably a lot of the information that they need for underwriting better than the competitors doesn't exist today, but will exist in the future. So what they're doing today with these dongle devices and the usage-based insurance projects that they are starting with today are probably only the tip of the iceberg. I think what we will see in the future is the same type of insurance or same type of information that cities will use for charge for congestion. For example, in a congested area, there is higher risk of an accident, right? Certain times of day, there is higher risk for an accident. Certain locations in cities, right, block by block, there is higher risk for accidents. And so insurance companies will become specialists in sifting through the data, getting their actuaries and their data scientists to go through it, coming up with factors that maybe their competitors haven't seen in order to underwrite better. And that will, in turn, derive a virtuous cycle. Because if you know you're being watched, you behave better, right? So if you know that sudden lane changes and fast starts and hard stops will cost you money, you will begin to drive safer. And exactly those things that actually do cause risk, because the insurance company's data scientists have shown it, will be the things that you get penalized for, and therefore will influence your behavior. And so the virtuous circle will ultimately drive lower accidents, lower deaths, and lower healthcare costs for people who get hurt in accidents. Thank you very much.
Wait, we almost released the standard.
Oh, yes, very important. TRAM, you should have done this. The usage-based insurance group in Mobi is probably weeks away from finalizing its usage-based insurance standard, the first standard. That will go through an internal review process in Mobi for a while, about 90 days. Eventually it will be released to the wider Mobi community. We hope in a period of about a year to open up that standard and have an open standard that then becomes a global standard for usage-based insurance. Thank you very much.
We are good in time, more or less. It's getting late, but we have, I would say, a special guest who is located here at the factory in Berlin. It's Sylvan, who is helping us to understand a little bit more how such a great city with so many blockchain startups actually already built an ecosystem. So Sylvan, welcome you on stage to talk about Berlin as hotspot for blockchain and the role of BerChain.
Awesome, thank you so much. That was actually not my job title that you saw over here, but it was funny regardless. I'm the president and founder of BerChain. BerChain is not a blockchain protocol, and I'm not here to pitch an ICO to you today. But what BerChain is actually a representation of the community in Berlin and a non-profit association to back up events and to back up the community and everything that's happening here in the very exciting city of Berlin, especially if we're talking about blockchain. So back in 2017, we saw that there were many events happening. There was a lot of buzz around blockchain, of course, but we also found that this was not very coordinated. Already back then, on some evenings or afternoons, we saw like a big overlap of events, everything happening on a Thursday, for example, and nothing on a Monday. And we also had the feeling that not many of the blockchain participants that are actually fairly decentralized here in Berlin. There's the Ethereum community, there's the Hyperledger community, and so forth and so on. They were not really talking to each other, so we took it upon ourselves to make those connections and set up a centralized event calendar, Slack channel, these kind of things as a bit of a grassroots movement back then. Fast forward to last year, 2019, where we set up as a member-led non-profit association here in Berlin to connect and promote the Berlin blockchain ecosystem. Meanwhile, we have, 21 corporate members and I believe 12, 13 personal members, all players, important players in the Berlin ecosystem, supporting us with our mission. And of course we have different things happening, events and whatever not. And meanwhile, the whole space around, just with my calendar example, has grown to being so active that it's actually becoming increasingly difficult to keep track of and to manage. And this is an example of the blockchain week, where we, I think, counted over 70 events in 1 week in 2019. Last year, was it August? And with that, we also made the statement that we really see Berlin as the capital of value creation in blockchain. There's so much being developed here, there's so much happening in terms of real protocol development, underlying value. It's certainly not the center for investment, right? But Berlin is classically a cultural city with a lot of artists and a lot of creativity, and that develops a lot to the development of protocols and other interesting technology. Berlin more than once has been named as the crypto capital or perhaps the blockchain capital in the world. And these are some examples of the other participants of the ecosystem that we see here in Berlin, with blockchain infrastructure projects, Ethereum community, fintech, crypto finance, identity protocols, Internet of Things, AI, blockchain, enterprise blockchain, investors, legal advice, and blockchain impact projects. Fast forward 1 year to basically where we are right now. We just came out of our New Year's reception at the Dutch Embassy, where we connected the German ecosystem with the Dutch ecosystem, and we will continue to build bridges between ecosystems, but also between different participants, be it industry and blockchain, or governance and blockchain, and so forth. And what I'd like to do is to close with an announcement of something that was just made public today, and that is that the Berlin Blockchain Week will take place this year from the 8th till the 16th of September, and all the main conferences around that have been announced today, and we'll also be holding our own conference again, and I hope to see you there. Have a good evening.